Hi, my name's Hudson, and I'm a geoholic.
Just a quick note to express our appreciation for the 2021 Friends of the Program for their continued support. Please consider their products and services as they have special promos for Geoholics listeners. Aerotech Mapping Inc., ATMLV.com. Advanced Geodetic Surveys Inc., AGSGPS.com. Bad Elf GPS, bad-elf.com. Cobb Fenley, CobbFenley.com. Cyanic Automation, CyanicAutomation.com. Diamondback Land Surveying, DiamondbackLandSurveying.com. Get Kids Into Survey, GetKidsIntoSurvey.com. Land Surveyors United, LandSurveyorsUnited.com. Mentoring Mondays, MentoringMondays.xyz. Monson Engineering, MonsonEngineering.com. Parkland Community College, parkland.edu/land-surveying. Safety Apparel, safetyapparel.us. And last but not least, Tiger Supplies, tigersupplies.com. A little picking and a grinning there, boys.
I love it.
I've been getting into some bluegrass lately, I'm not going to lie. Welcome back, folks. We appreciate you being here for episode 69. Shoots, what you got?
Jared Allen.
I love that one.
I looked him up on Wikipedia, and it came up as an American curler and former pro football player.
Did it really?
Yes.
Oh, my God, that's awesome.
He was the 4th-round pick for the Kansas City Loser Chiefs.
Sure was.
Excuse me. 5-time Pro Bowler, 4-time first-team All-Pro. The Idaho State Bengals retired his number 41 from college. And
41.
He was in the Jackass movie. That's
oh
what
yeah,
I
yeah, that's
remember
right.
him from.
That's right. That's right. That's right. I did hear a conversation on Sports Talk locally the other day about him making it into the Hall of Fame.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah,
I think with the resume he's built.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
It's inevitable. Not first ballot, but he'll get there.
I can tell you, I've watched him live in person curl.
Mm-hmm.
He is not going to be a curling Hall of Famer. There's no doubt in my mind that's not ever going to happen.
He was better at beating up quarterbacks than
absolutely
curling.
No
okay.
question, no question.
Remember the pink Mustang he had out here, and it had the like the horns on the how they used to do
really?
that. They had the horns on the front. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Shoots and I were talking too. He's got that restaurant on Mill.
That's right.
The Lodge. Yeah.
Yep, the Lodge.
Local business owner. Support local.
He's got a place out here. All right, we of course are recording live and in person from the Cobb Fenley Sioux studio, as we like to call it. The Wi-Fi has pretty much sucked lately, so fingers crossed we can get through this. We're all tethered to each other's phones, so like I say, fingers crossed. A couple house cleaning items before we blow your minds. First, the Branded Bills hats are a hit. How do you get one, you ask? That's easy. Become a Geoholics patron by simply going to patreon.com, search for the Geoholics, make a monthly commitment, and Bob's your uncle, as they say. You will be receiving a Geoholics fan pack that not only include this awesome hat, but a bunch of other really cool Geoholics swag as well. Second, please take a minute and follow us on all of our social media platforms, those being Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. It's by far the best way to keep up with all things Geoholics. PJ, tell us about that opening number.
All right, guys, that was Carolina Blue Glory Bound Train. Carolina Blue is a Brevard, North Carolina-based band whose roots run deep in the tradition of Bill Monroe. The band was formed in 2007 after the release of the album Nothing So Blue. Carolina Blue won the South Carolina State Bluegrass Championship at Reno Fest in 2011, and they also received their first Vocal Group of the Year nomination at the 2018 SBGMA Award Show. Their most recent Pine Castle Records release, I Hear Bluegrass Calling Me, debuted on the Billboard's Top 5 Bluegrass album charts and has recently made its debut on the National Bluegrass Survey's Top 15 albums chart and has produced their #1 hit song, Rusty Rails.
Very good. Very good. One correction, we'll have to confirm with our guests whether or not I'm right on this. I think it's Brevard.
Oh,
North
shoot.
Carolina.
Brevard.
What'd I say? Brevard?
Brevard.
Yeah, probably Brevard.
That's like something McKenna would do.
Yeah, probably.
All right. Shout out to this week's highlighted or featured friend of the program. This week we have our good buddy Trent Keenan at Diamondback Land Surveying. And since Shoots took one for the team last week and did the lengthy cyanic automation read, I'll take this one. So here we go. Diamondback Land Surveying, LLC, provides complete surveying, mapping, and construction staking solutions for residential, commercial, and public works projects. DBLS is a firm made up of highly skilled professional land surveyors with over 200 years of experience in the public land survey system and construction surveying. Diamondback's 7 professional surveyors are licensed in Arizona, California, Colorado, Idaho, Nevada, New Mexico, North Dakota, Oregon, South Dakota, Utah, Washington, and they are also licensed as a certified federal surveyor, being only one of 1,500 nationwide. Their survey team takes great pride in being professionals in all aspects of their work and emphasize on-time service that maintains an excellent reputation in the construction and development communities by consistently providing top-notch services to their clients. Last but not least, you can find them at diamondbacklandsurveying.com, and they like to say that they are dedicated to building and maintaining an excellent reputation.
And most importantly, Trent Keenan's a hell of a dude.
He is a hell of a dude. No argument there. All right, our weekly pod word. So what do you think about this one, Shoots? How about we go with Camaro?
Camaro.
Yeah.
Oh, it makes sense. The dog.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
I gotcha.
So this week's
I'm
pod
picking
word,
up what you're laying down
yep,
here.
is Camaro. Just a reminder, here's how this works. Listen every week. Jot down each episode's pod word. At the end of the month, email said pod words to us. And I'm going to use it again. Bob's your uncle. Your name, your name will be entered into the drawing for that month's listener prize, which this month is a personalized watercolor painting by Connie Barrett. If you don't know who she is and you don't know what she's doing for surveyors, check her out on Facebook. We're so excited to be giving away one of her paintings this month. So again, the pod word for this episode is
Camaro.
There we go.
And I'm writing it down because I'm entering.
This is a great prize for sure. Let's catch up with the fellas. Producer Jake, how are you doing, man?
Doing all right.
You okay after that weekend? That was a rough one.
Yeah, a little Super Bowl cleanup. Obviously, it didn't go the way we wanted it. I went back and listened to, as I was editing last week's episode, and man, was I being cocky. So looking back on that now, it's cringy to listen to. So it's time to introduce a little bit more humility back into it. So
I like it.
We're going the optimistic route. We got a lot of years left with Pat. We're humble from here on out. Anything we can get.
Well, Hudson did say, how dare Jake bet against the GOAT?
Hey,
Yeah, how dare I?
He called you out so hard.
Yeah, and
Hudson's a wise little guy.
speaking of bets, Hudson and I did have a bet on the game, and I lost, and I have to render payment. So
Yes, you did pay up. I will tell the
Vouch for
listeners.
that?
Yes, you did pay up, but we're going to hold off on that until you can actually see him in person and pay up. And
Cool.
You could see the smile.
Yeah, but good weekend. I mean, on the bright side, I won my first race sailing, so that's the whole weekend's
awesome.
a wash at that point.
You got to explain this. What happened?
Just Lake Pleasant, first race.
Did you get like a ribbon or
I
anything
wish
like that?
like a trophy. That'd
Nothing?
be awesome. No,
I thought everybody gets trophies these days.
Yeah,
Not at the
no,
lake. It's hardcore out there.
Participation.
Oh, God, that's funny.
Ryan, how about you?
I can't complain. The weekend was pretty darn good. I enjoyed watching that game, and Hudson was very happy. And literally, when he was going to bed that night, he had the biggest smile on his face, and he said, "Legos are coming my way." So
That's awesome.
that alone made it all worth it. And other than that, just playing golf and getting my
Nice.
backside kicked on the courses. But
Your
what about-
backside.
yeah, hey, I'm keeping
That's
it
kid-friendly.
Keeping it PC here, boys. What about you, Delph?
Oh, geez. Well, I mean, I'm going to brag a little bit on my wagering this past weekend. I got the parlay of Tampa Bay +3 and the under. So that worked out really well for me. There was a couple other prop bets that I didn't win, but I did hit that one, which basically I broke even as a result. So I tried to tell Jake. He didn't want to listen.
I can't do that. To
Didn't
bet
wanna
against
listen.
him, no way. Presley did win the coin toss, so she felt good about that. And she was trying to get in on the Gatorade color, but
Oh, jeez.
I had to turn it off. I didn't even see what color it
That's
was.
funny.
Total side note: did you guys what was your opinion of the halftime show?
Awful.
Yeah,
Terrible.
I was
I liked
bored.
it just because it was highly produced.
Bring back Prince.
It was highly produced, but I was just bored.
Oh, it's terrible. Jock straps on everybody's heads running around.
Well,
I don't know what the hell that was.
You know, everybody has to wear masks or whatever. It made sense.
Yeah,
'cause
but
he
not
had
jock
that,
straps.
and-
Well, in the I can't feel my face thing. Is,
yeah, it made sense,
Lord.
but I was just overall I was just kind of bored.
It was awful.
I want like the 18 different bands and play
Yeah.
the hits.
Yeah. For sure. The only thing I have, you know how we always talk about give to get. You know, that's something that I think we try to live by. And I mean, it's been a bit of a rough week for me already, and it's only Tuesday. So trust me, I don't tell these stories to like pat myself on the back. The reason I do tell them is that I hope that someone listening will, you know, give this a try and see what happens. So I'm on my way to work this morning, and I decided to stop at Salad and Go for a breakfast burrito. Free plug, don't get used to it. The line was long, and there was a homeless couple on the sidewalk, like right where I was stopped in line. So I gave him a couple bucks, and I was next in line to order, so I had to move up. Long story short, when I get up to the window, the girl says, "This one's on us." So I got my breakfast breakfast burrito and my cold brew for free.
There you go.
Interesting. So that they probably saw.
I don't think so.
Oh, because they're just a coincidence.
It was a coincidence, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's
It's
how
just
that
like
whole
the
give to
pay it
get thing
forward. Yeah.
works.
That's how it works. Great breakfast burritos and great iced coffee as
You
well.
can't beat it. $2.99. Are you kidding
And
me?
the $1 for the iced coffee.
Unbelievable.
Give to get.
Unbelievable. Give
Now
to
I
get.
know where I'm going tomorrow morning.
Exactly. All right, let's get moving here. Safety apparel, safety share. Shoots, what do you got for us this week?
This one's a personal favorite of mine. Here are some tips on good techniques for washing your hands. Wet your hands with running water, either warm or cold, and then turn off the tap and then apply soap. Rub your hands vigorously for at least 20 seconds. Make sure to scrub all surfaces, which include the backs of your hands, wrists, between your fingers, and under your fingernails. Now it's time to rinse your hands, making sure you wash them all the way wash away all the soap.
Yep.
Dry your hands using a clean towel or air dry them, depending on where you're at.
Yep.
If possible, use a towel or an elbow to turn off the faucet. And then if you can't wash your hands, use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer that contains at least 60% alcohol.
I think you might have missed the part where you sing "Happy Birthday" twice.
Well, you can do that, but well, the lovely Carrie was saying that you got to like scrape your hands with your fingernails.
Yeah, that's what
on
doctors
your
do.
palms
Yeah.
because
wow.
like the creases in your hands, and I didn't get that deep on it. Just wash your hands.
What if you just had a bucket of Everclear? Could you just dip your hands in the bucket and bam?
I think your hands might fall off.
you do it too many times, right?
Trust me, man. My hands get so dry with washing them as much as I do.
Oh, me too. So
Yeah.
scaly on the back.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Just wash your hands.
That's what
At the end of the
lotion's
day-
for, boys. Put some lotion on.
Hey, I do that. I put it on
I'm
the
too
face.
tough
I put it
for
on the
lotion.
Little
hands.
lotion, little eye cream.
I do it all.
You know it.
I
I know.
love
You
how
and I
you,
have
I
that in
love how you
common.
call that out on me.
No, I do it too. I
Ow.
do it too. All right.
So
Jeez.
at the end of the day, the safety apparel safety share is wash your hands.
All right. There you go. I like it.
It's that easy.
And I can honestly say I've washed my hands more than ever over the last year.
oh yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
What about your phone?
It needs a good
Scrub down.
scrubbing. That thing.
It needs a once over.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Let's get on with this here. Our esteemed guest this evening is Dr. Tony Nettleman, and a couple little bio things here to really impress you. Tony was born and grew up in Atlanta, Georgia. Get this. He has completed a BS in land surveying from New Mexico State University. Go Aggies. A MS in geospatial surveying engineering from Texas A&M Corpus Christi. Corpus Christi. Go.
I think you're hungry.
Go Islanders. Did you know that, Shoots?
I did not
Did not know
that.
He's, I don't even know what the hell this is. A Juris Doctor or JD from Florida International University. Go Panthers. Did you know that?
Wasn't what's his name, the coach there?
Who?
The guy from
What's his name?
No, the guy from
You know.
Alabama.
Nick Saban?
He might have been. He might have been.
No, the offensive coordinator.
So we'll find out what the JD thing is here in a minute. And he's got a PhD in geomatics from the University of Florida.
Go Gators.
There you
Go
go.
Gators.
There you go. He's got a PLS.
Dr. Nick is proud right now.
Yep, he holds a PLS license in Alabama, California, New Mexico, South Dakota, Texas, and Florida. He is the president and owner of Nettleman Land Consultants and director and trustee of the Nettleman Institute of Surveying and Engineering Technology. Oh, and did I mention he is also an attorney? Oh my!
Oh, that's
goodness.
it.
That's it. That's all I got. To say,
how lazy is this guy?
To say that I feel like a worthless POS right now is an understatement. So, welcome to the Geoholics, Dr. Nettleman, and we are honored to have you on and taking the time to grace us with your virtual presence.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me. And, call me Tony. We've been talking a lot lately.
All right, perfect. I love it. I love it. Keep it casual. So I didn't even mention that you also have 4 airplane ratings that include private, commercial, IFR, and seaplane. How do you have time to do all this?
Well, just set a goal and do it and wait for the next one. I have a bad habit of collecting licenses and things like that. So as soon as I finish one, I just want to go to the other because I'm so excited. Yeah. You'll go cruise Florida lakes or, go do something crazy. I mean, then you're done. You think, well, I survived this. Just go do it again.
Wow, that's crazy. So, I mean, my ignorance here, what is IFR?
So IFR is instrument flight rules. You can fly in clouds and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
Low visibility, just literally flying only on what's in front of you in the panel.
God, that sounds scary.
It's a crazy trip.
That's like, isn't that how you get like vertigo and stuff like that?
That's how you avoid it.
Yeah, it happens all the time. Yeah. Weird spatial distortions. Your ears do funny things. Like you think you're falling and you're really going straight. It's weird.
Gotcha. So just so we can circle back real quick, what is a JD? Explain what that is.
So a JD is just a law degree, 3-year basic law degree. Gotcha. And if you want to practice as an attorney in any state, you got to have a JD. So that's just a graduate degree.
Gotcha.
Oh, he downplays it so hard.
I know.
It's like I would struggle for that throughout my entire life.
Here's me with my associates.
It's just 3 years.
All right, so I'm going to put you on the spot right out of the gate, just as an icebreaker, I suppose. So with all the education that you have, all the publications that you've authored, which I also didn't mention, and all the teaching that you do and have done, how do you, and I hear people say this all the time and it drives me crazy when they say it, how do you respond to the folks that say, those that can't do, teach?
I would say they're absolutely right a lot of the time. I've met a lot of professors who could not set up a total station. Yep. If they had a gun to their head, you'd say, set up the total station or this is your last breath. They wouldn't make it. It's scary.
It's true.
So I'd say that you're absolutely right. I'm not here to defend anybody or any degree. It's just, what do you need to practice? And you have to pick that. And it could be nothing or it could be a PhD, whatever you want to do.
Yep. Yeah, good points. Can't argue with that. So really, I mean, what we're going to talk about tonight, we're going to talk about a few different things, but one of the things is, kind of dissecting property disputes. And there's a number of different kind of property disputes. There's ownership rights, ownership lines, rights of use, and water rights. Talk just a little bit about that. Talk a little bit about ownership rights and the type of disputes that occur.
Gosh, I would say there's no such thing as a property dispute. There's only a personality dispute. If you hate your neighbor, you're going to sue them over the property boundary or over the dock or over anything else. So this has nothing to do with like surveying or lines, or it's all about personality. But when 2 personalities meet that don't get along, you better watch out.
Yeah. Good point. How do you see those kind of disputes being avoided then? Is it just a matter of 2 neighbors just kind of taking it upon themselves to iron it out? But unfortunately, that's not always the case, and we end up in court.
Well, I think a lot of people will say like, well, what about mediation? What about arbitration? Let's solve this. Let's just come together and work it out. That usually never works because of the personalities. So, you have to have a third party, independent, neutral person come in, do the survey. And a lot of times you got to look these people in the eye and say, hey, look, you don't have a good case. You are going to spend a lot of money on this and you probably will not come out ahead. And if you say that as their, surveyor, they may listen to you. But unfortunately, a lot of people want to get into disputes. And I handle disputes from Oregon to the Virgin Islands, so everywhere. And you have to be honest, and you have to tell these people how it is at the start. If you have a good case, I'll tell you, like, you are correct. objectively speaking, this is your land. And if you want to fight for it, I'll help you. But a lot of the time, you'll have to say, hey, look, this is bogus as heck. You should get out now. But if you don't want to get out, you got to find a different surveyor because it's just not worth the drama.
And by the time somebody like yourself gets involved, it's not as simple as a beer and a handshake.
Yeah, it's probably past that point, right?
It's past that.
It's got past that point already.
It's the people that are involved rather than the actual land.
Yep, and I'm sure that pride comes into play a lot.
I'm sure principle takes over. You just want to be right, no matter what it is.
Yeah. I'm curious, what are the most common property disputes that you've seen throughout your career? I mean, is it an ownership thing as far as title and boundary goes, or is it more of an easement thing?
Well, that's the exciting thing about what I do in the consulting practice is it's always different. Like, you never know who's going to call you with a crazy story because life is so much more weird than like a textbook. So it could be, I had a call from a gentleman last year. He's a surveyor. He's being sued for $12 million because he reviewed a title commitment for a property, and it was like a 600-page document. Well, he did not realize that there was a page missing. There was a page 2 to one of the documents, and the client didn't know it either. So when they closed the property, they paid the money, did all this stuff, and the client sues them for $12 million. And the surveyor says, what about your real property attorney you hired to review this? What about the title company that did this? What about this? No, we don't care. We're suing you for it.
Wow.
Because we like our attorney. We like our title company. So you're going to be the one who pays all of it. So, or it could be, neighbors fighting over a dock, neighbors fighting over a driveway. The only one constant I have is the property has to be very high value. Otherwise, it's just not worth, their time to pay me to help them solve this.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just curious in that case, and I don't know how much you can talk about it. I mean, is the surveyor on the hook for that, or how does that shake out?
Well, I mean, it's all my opinion. So all I can tell you is, I think that land surveyors examine title in order to locate boundaries and, show easements, like the geographic location of things. Land surveyors do not really examine title to pass judgment on the quality of title. Is it marketable? Is it feasible? Is it legal? I mean, I don't think surveyors have the ability to answer those things.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I'm glad you answered that question that way. I can think of a story here locally where a company did an ALTA survey on a large piece of commercial property that was being conveyed. And on their deliverable, unfortunately, the layer for water valves or something like that was turned off. So it appeared like there wasn't, it just ended up being this huge mess. And long story short, they ended up writing the client like a $200,000 check or something like that.
Oh, that's all?
Yeah. And it was just because, honestly, as a result of a layer being turned off when they plotted the deliverable. And crazy.
It's crazy.
It really is.
A lot of money.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. So let's kind of talk about a couple of things here. I'd like to talk about, standards of practice and duty of care, and if there's a difference between the two. I mean, when I looked up and did some research, about standards of practice, like how it would be defined per se, and this is what I came up with. The minimum standards of practice are intended to provide protection for the public by ensuring that surveying services are completed in accordance with prevailing professional practices and current technological methods, and to provide a means by which professional performance of the individual practitioner can be assessed.
What?
Yeah. What do you think about that? Yeah. Does that ring a bell?
Sounds like an attorney wrote that.
I would imagine, right? So, and then duty of care, this is what I came up with, is the requirement that a person act toward others and the public with the watchfulness, attention, caution, and prudence that a reasonable person in the circumstances would use. If a person's actions do not meet this standard of care, then the acts are considered negligent, and any damages resulting may be claimed in a lawsuit for negligence.
That makes way more sense.
That's a good one.
Yeah. So
I've testified against and for so many surveyors over the years. In California, in Texas, in New Jersey, if a client wants to sue a land surveyor, they have to get another surveyor to write an opinion before they can even file the suit. And I love that, because you can't just sue a surveyor or an engineer or a doctor just because you feel like it. You got to have someone else pass judgment, at least kind of initially.
Yeah.
And, that's the question. Did you act like a reasonable land surveyor or did you not? And that's fuzzy, right? I mean, how do you know? I mean, what right do I have to pass judgment on, you three? But you have to do it. You look at the textbooks, you look at the minimum standards in the state, you look at CEU presentations and court cases and statutes, and you say, well, did this guy violate the Florida rules of surveying? Did this guy violate the Minnesota standards of practice? And a lot of times you can say, hey, look, there's no north arrow on this map. This should scare me.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that's a good point. And, I think, and I mean, obviously you can attest to this better than anybody, I'm sure, because you've been involved in so many of these cases, but surveyors can be very stubborn. And surveyors, for the most part, think there's only one answer, and it's their answer. And they become very hard to deal with when they're questioned, which is unfortunate. But that's how a lot of these things get to the point where they become, litigious, let's say. One time in my life, I got asked to check another surveyor's work because of a concern about a property line. And I'll be honest with you, I think it takes a certain kind of person to do that. I mean, I did the job, but I felt so bad doing it. Yeah. I'm like, this guy, whether or not he's right, wrong, or whatever, I could have made the same decision, and who knows? It puts you in a weird spot.
Yeah, it does. And what right do you have, to do that? But everybody is checking everybody else. That's just a fact. Years ago when I was growing up, 10, 12 years old, I used to read my grandfather's textbooks for like editing errors and like just see what's going on, interesting stuff. And I read that every surveyor's work has to be able to withstand collateral attack. So if you better do a good enough job, so if another surveyor shows up and questions you, everything you do is defendable. Like you can prove everything. You can prove the monuments, you can prove the methodology, you can prove your results, your analysis. And if not, then your survey is probably going to be successfully attacked. Now, how often does that happen? Not really. Like 99% of surveys just get stamped and they get filed and that's it. But there's always that chance someone could come behind you and, attack your survey. Is it good enough to be attacked? That's a big question.
Yeah, all good points. I think it's like, as a surveyor, I think, when any survey I do, I approach it like this could go to court. And as a result, you got to really focus on, doing the due diligence, of course, the research, field procedures, whether you're doing a boundary survey, topo, construction staking, you got to take accuracy requirements in consideration. If there's photogrammetry involved, you know what goes along with that there, shoots. And the deliverables, like if you have the best looking deliverable, it's very appealing to the eye, but if you look at it and the first thing you see is that the north arrow is either not on it or pointing in the wrong direction, then automatically red flags are going off. You know?
Absolutely. Yeah,
for sure. And so on that same topic, and we talk about this particular thing on a number of episodes. What do you think? What are the importance of field notes, like handwritten field notes in the field book? Are those as important as ever, or can a data collector be admitted into court in the same manner?
Yeah, it's a great question. And, I say field notes are really important. I still do them. Every survey I sign and stamp, I've been to the field. I've done the research. I do it all myself. There's no like a crew that goes out and does it. I hate hearing that. But, I think that there are some times where field notes are great, like writing down descriptions or taking a testimonial from a neighbor, all these things. But also you have to have the data collector, because I can't write down every measurement. It's killing me. XYZ 2,000 times in a day, not going to happen. So you have to have both written field notes and data collector file. And then it all kind of comes together to do your analysis when you get back to the office.
Yep. Good points. What are you seeing with, of course now, I mean, technology is advancing so rapidly. Of course, there's LiDAR scanners, whether they be terrestrial or mounted on a UAV or even on a plane for that matter.
Yep.
And just the use of drones in general. I mean, are you seeing an uptick in any sort of disputes as a result of those technologies?
I wish I did, because I love UAS, I love laser scanners, all these things, but it's really just traditional boundary easement, water boundary issues. It's so kind of sad that the one thing I ask whenever I have a land surveyor that I'm going to testify against, like he's on the other side, basically, I have this list of questions to ask the surveyor during the deposition. And the first question is, what equipment did you use? What was the serial number? And can you show me the calibration and the dealer, servicing receipts? Oh, what do you mean? This is a 14-year-old total station. It's never seen the inside of a dealer since day zero. Well, how do you know it's accurate?
Yep.
Silence.
Yep.
I love that. Now, you better be darn sure that every time I go do a survey, I make sure my calibration certificate is up to date. Was how dumb would I feel if I asked this guy this question and think of, let's see yours.
Yeah.
And it's happened before. Let's see yours. Okay, here it is. I never want to be the person where the pot calls the kettle black.
Yeah, for sure. No doubt. That'd be a really crappy situation to be in.
You show me yours, I'll show you mine.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly. I've had that happen before. Yeah. I was in a deposition and the guy said, who has the bigger, what? You show me yours and I'll show you mine.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, let's go. He never took me up on it.
Now, a lot of the disputes,
these are the personalities.
Yeah.
The disputes you're mentioning, a lot of them are water boundaries. How does that exactly work? I'm not familiar with that.
Not in Arizona anyways.
Yeah, exactly. Not a whole lot of water here. So.
Where would it be a thing? Like a lake?
Oh, gosh. A lake? The ocean? I mean, geez.
Oh, wow. They do that? Boundary disputes in the ocean?
Oh, here we go.
Oh.
Now I'm interested.
Just give us a little bit of something on this one.
Now what do you guys like more? Do y'all like boats more? Or do you like airplanes or cars more? What's your favorite?
Boats and airplanes.
Okay, boats. That's a good one. What about you, Kent? What do you like best?
Oh, gosh. What was it? Was boats, airplanes, or what?
Or cars.
Oh, cars for me.
Okay, you're a car guy. Ryan, what about you?
I'm going to have to go with airplanes.
Okay, these are all valid answers. So, I've kind of taken the niche of water boundaries since my PhD topic. And I like water boundaries more because it's more fluid. Water boundaries move all the time. It's a little more complicated. And I see a lot of land surveyors make decisions that they cannot prove in the water boundary allocations or things like that, just because they haven't taken who's ever taken a water boundaries course? Who's ever taken a water boundary CEU? Very few people. Well, this kind of goes to where if you're not competent to practice, you should probably not take those jobs. So I've had a one water boundary property where surveyors as the water boundary. Crazy. So that's the fun part. You never know what you're going to get into, and it's not as rigid as like the priority of calls, junior, senior rights. You basically have to provide equity to all the landowners, and how you provide equity, you have to write a full kind of little dissertation about how you did it, because you have to prove what you did, like what method, what measurement, what scenario, all that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, so shoots, have you ever heard of a thalweg? No,
I have no idea what you just said.
Or the thread of it, like the thread of a stream.
Okay.
Or the thalweg. Do you know what that is?
Is that like the delta?
No. So the thread,
tertiary, like inlet.
The thread is, and hopefully I'm right on this if I remember right. I mean, I haven't dealt with water in forever. The thread, I think, is the center point between the two banks.
Oh, I know this
and
now.
The
thalweg is right in the middle, right?
Well,
or it's the bank.
Is the lowest point.
Okay.
Is that right?
The deepest. Yeah, the deepest.
The deepest point. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at this guy.
If you
He's an expert. He's pulling that out of his backside.
Pretty much.
Well, hey, I was testifying just last week in a court case in Florida, and the judge said, well, where is the center of the lake? And I said, it could be the medial line or it could be the thalweg. I can't tell you. You have to decide. And he said, the Thowway? What the heck is that?
You blew him away. See
Okay,
that?
yeah, blew his mind. And the attorneys, they stopped too. They said, what the heck is that? And the court reporter said, how do you spell that?
Let me Google that real quick.
I really wish I had that answer when you asked me.
It's really interesting, all these different terms and terms of art. It's really fun because you may have 100 surveyors who will do a land survey on a property, but hopefully you'll have like one that'll do a water boundary because they know this could, if I pass judgment, if I do a survey on a $10 million lot and I'm wrong, what's going to happen to me?
Yeah, nothing good.
Yeah, exactly. I just got back from Palm Beach doing a survey of the intercoastal waterway of a couple of properties. It was a lot of fun.
Wow.
You know, in Florida, you're up to your arm in like muck because the monuments are so far down from the hurricanes. It was a crazy trip.
Yuck.
And it was let's just say it's a crazy trip. Coming back was crazy too.
All I can think about is alligators when I think about stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
No, thank you.
And snakes. A lot of snakes.
We're spoiled out here in Arizona.
Just think about Chubbs. He lost his hand.
Chubbs. That's right, Chubbs. So, I mean, one more thing on this topic. So, obviously, you know, like when the sections in the United States were originally laid out of, you know, the methods of measurement were a compass and a chain. And now we have GPS, we have robotic total stations. I mean, we have so many different ways to measure things. How does the way or the method of measurement, when does that come into play on most of the disputes that you see?
You know, really, it's more of a methodology, like what kind of methods you use to do the survey versus the equipment.
Gotcha.
Because, I mean, you can do a good job with a 5-second total station versus a 1 second. Now, I use the half second or the 1 second because I want it to be the best. You know, I want it to be the absolute best money can buy every time. But it's not required. I mean, you can do a 5-second total station job and close well and have no problem. So a lot of the time it's, you know, land surveyors ignoring monuments that are in the ground, land surveyors ignoring deeds that have been recorded, things, you know, big things like that. We're in the weeds, but it's usually the major errors that come up the most.
Yeah, gotcha. So of course we have like the new Alta NSPS standards coming out here in a couple weeks. I think on the 23rd they go into effect. Are you all polished up on those?
I have been reading some of them, and I like the new kind of local accuracy wording and things like that. But I would have a hard time remembering exactly how to do that by hand. Like exactly what does, you know, how do you compute local accuracy? Can you pull out a full covariance matrix and do this? Or are you just going to go to your AutoCAD or your Trimble, you know, business suite and click apply? Right,
exactly. Which is what 99% of us do, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm guilty too.
Yeah, I like what they did with Table A, Item 11 with the utilities. That's always a pain. That one just has so much liability attached to it.
Well, you know, I've learned to always author a survey report that goes along with the survey map and explain what I did. But I have an entire section at the end where I say what I did not do. Did not locate certain easements, did not locate the flood zones, did not. I think my academic training has taught me to just like fess up to what you didn't do so everyone knows it. Like there's no ambiguity. These are the 10 things that did not get done. And that's just how it is. If you want it, you could pay more money and I'll be glad to do it for you.
Yeah, no question. I mean, that's great advice right there.
Yeah.
What I'd like to look at next is kind of the phases of a dispute, you know, kind of from a surveyor's perspective. And I know, you know, I'm going to run through these real quick and we'll circle back, you know, the initial consultation, there's the review of the records and the research, you know, a site visit, as you mentioned, pre-trial prep and a trial. And some of these things, like when you start talking about pre-trial prep and the trial, I mean, that's some scary stuff right there. It could be, especially you don't have your all your ducks in a row, as they say. So just kind of briefly touch on each of those. Talk about the initial consultation just a little bit.
Well, that's a great one. You know, I was thinking about this all the time because I've taken on clients that I wish I never would have taken on. So, you know, maybe even like last year, a person who never should have signed on because they had unrealistic expectations. And I always say that the land surveyor and the attorney are the team. You know, you have to be completely aligned together the attorney has to use your facts and then argue his case with the procedure. So the initial consult, it's taken me 20 years, like working with my grandfather, working on my own. It's taken me so long to get this system down. But we do a 3-step process here at NLC Expert Services. The first step is just a phone call, like a 15-minute phone call. Who are you? What's your problem? And a lot of the times they'll say crazy things like, I can only spend $1,000 or I'm in the middle of a DUI case and I think I can have my DUI dismissed if I'm in a different county. Can you help me? I mean, just crazy things. Wow. So that's the first like weed out point where you say, well, I thank you for your time, but unfortunately, don't pay me any money because you're going to lose your money. Don't waste your money. You need to go somewhere else. So that's free. Then we do, if I say, well, it sounds interesting, it sounds like it can help you, send me some stuff. So send me your documents, I'll look them over. So we charge about $2,000 for a couple-hour initial review, look at their stuff, and you say, well, gut feeling, yes, I can help you, or no, I cannot help you. They haven't signed anything except a one-page form that says who they are and what they want at this point. And if they survive the second step, the initial consult, then they get a full contract. And this is very important because you do not want clients who you cannot help. It makes them crazy. It makes you crazy. Like, it's taken me so long. This is like a business side versus a surveying side, but I'm not a very good business person. So it's taken me a long time to learn what not to do. And I'm sure you guys have done the same thing, learned hard lessons.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
So that's really the initial consult, taking a person from a first phone call all the way to signing the expert agreement. And then you do the fun stuff. You do a survey, do your research, do your expert report. I love going to trial because I feel very, very confident in everything. If I'm not like 99% confident, I just won't answer it. I'll say, I don't know. And I don't know is a valid answer.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if you as a surveyor have done your, I guess we'll call it a professional duty, you shouldn't have much to worry about. At that point, it comes down to analyzation and decision making, right? Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. It comes down to what I always tell people. It's not about my opinion. It's about the textbook, the statute, the case law's opinion. So I'm just taking all of those sources and applying them to this situation. And that's it, because no one's paying me for my opinion. I mean, who cares what I think? I'm just a lonely surveyor in Texas, North Carolina. You don't want my opinion. You want the best sources of law to apply to your problem. And the good thing is, if you present that in your report, the attorney and the judge can also use that.
And now, if your client is in the wrong, so to speak, are you afraid to tell your client that, or it is what it is, and you just have to?
It is what it is.
Okay.
And if they're in the wrong, they will never get a full contract. They'll get an initial consult, they'll get the truth, and they'll basically be told, what's up, because they don't want me as an expert, because I'll be telling the judge and I'll be answering all the questions honestly. So I'll be testifying against them. Basically, that'd be horrible. Pay someone $500 an hour to testify against you. What kind of masochistic stuff is this?
Wow. Yeah, no doubt. You just got to rip the Band-Aid off, as they say, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, and people appreciate that.
I agree.
A lot of attorneys will get a case and they have no idea what a survey is. They have no idea what a monument is or priority of calls. So they want like an honest opinion. What do you think of my case? And I give people bad news all the time. And it's how it works. I mean, you want the truth, you paid for the truth, you'll get the truth. And they'll say thank you, and they'll either drop the case or they'll go find another expert, but at least they know the facts.
Yeah, I mean, one side or the other is going to get bad news. It's just that simple. So what advice would you give like a surveyor who, is unfortunately in a situation where they're going to trial over one of their surveys? What advice would you give them, I guess as it pertains to pre-trial preparation and even on the day of the trial? What are some things that you would tell them?
Wow. I could talk for an hour about that. I'm doing a water boundary seminar for Iowa next month as a scholarship deal for some of their students. And 1 hour is devoted to expert practice. I've seen so many land surveyors testify in court and do crazy things, like they won't stop talking. What do you think about your survey? And they talk for 20 minutes. Or they show up to court in like flannel shirt and blue jeans. Everybody else is wearing a suit and tie, nice outfit. Everybody, even the court reporter is dressed nicely. And the surveyor shows up. And what kind of professional image does that give to the surveyors? The only person in the entire room without a suit and tie comes in muddy boots. Why'd you do that, Joe? I'm a surveyor. I survey in these boots, and I wanted to come here and show everybody my boots. It's not helpful. Not helpful.
Yep. Yeah, that first impression, right? It's almost like looking at a plat and there's no north arrow. It's the same type deal.
Exactly. So, you want to come in, you want to dress nicely, you want to be well groomed, you want to not smile. Don't smile and don't laugh in court or in deposition, but be friendly. When you get on the stand, say hello, Your Honor, or good morning, Your Honor. People appreciate you're calm, you're relaxed, you're ready to do this. And if you're calm, you got nothing to hide.
Yeah, for sure.
Go
ahead.
And then you come in and you make sure, preparing for a deposition or trial does not start the night before. It starts like 2 years before, making sure all your work is 100%. And if your work is 100%, then you're just chill. You're relaxed. You're happy to be there. I love getting cross-examined by the opposing attorney because they're spending thousands, tens of thousands of dollars. They're getting nothing for it. I'm telling the absolute truth. I'm being completely honest. And the facts speak for themselves. The monuments speak for themselves. And I'll tell them all about surveying, all about the Thalweg, all about priority of calls. And a lot of times the opposing attorney will just stop in the middle, just like, done. I'm finished. I'm not wasting any more money. And I'm not letting this guy talk more, because the more he talks, the more truth comes out.
The more it hurts our case. And
yeah, exactly.
It's that first date mentality of just show up, look your best, speak softly, carry a big stick, that whole thing, and just you got the facts behind you. What do you have to worry about?
Yeah, just exude confidence.
Yeah, you have that confidence of knowing that you're right.
If you're prepared, you should have nothing to worry about.
Exactly. And yeah, no, that works wonders.
Yep, absolutely. No question. Let's talk a little about being an expert witness. I mean, that's what you do, right? Besides yourself, hopefully everybody calls you to be an expert witness based on whoever listens to this podcast. But if somebody's out there looking for an expert witness, what are some things that they should be looking for?
I hate to say it, but it's all credentials. This is a battle of the experts. And a lot of times it's a local surveyor versus another local surveyor. What's the truth? Nobody knows. The attorneys don't know. The judge doesn't know. The jury's confused. So if you've got a big enough dispute, you've got to find some kind of national expert to come and sort out the mess, which has been going on for years. And you have to do it objectively through, your own survey, your own research, your own report. And you've got to have enough credentials and enough. It's really about teaching too. Like you're teaching the judge and the jury what is a Thalweg? No one's ever heard of this. Can you explain a Thalweg in 15 seconds? I'm sure you just did. I'm sure you could. So you'd be a great expert witness. So it's all about having the heart of a teacher and going in with no animosity, no preconceptions, just going in there to solve a problem as best you can and then have fun while you're doing it. Because if you're having fun, I had a judge we were measuring things in the map, doing all kinds of stuff together. He was having a blast. He says, this is the most fascinating case I've had in years. What a pleasure. What a nice thing to say.
Yeah, for sure. You said something there that really struck a nerve with me because I'm a huge believer in it. To be a good surveyor, to be an expert, and just to be a professional, and we spend a lot of our time educating, whether it be educating our clients, that happens at least. That's something I feel like I'm doing on a daily basis. And you just said it at a much higher level. You're, in a sense, educating the judge.
Yeah, absolutely. And even before that, the client is stressed out. They're in a corner. They're worried about their property. How can you solve their problem? it's not about you. It's about your client. And if you think you can help them, you have to teach them from day zero. Well, how do you do a survey? Why do you need a survey? How will the survey solve your problem? And if you spend like 30 minutes on the phone discussing like the steps involved, how a survey can help you in your case, if you have a case or not, if you spend that time helping the person understand why they need something, they're much less likely to call someone else and say, can you beat that price by $100? What's your lowest number? And they're not going to do that. They're going to listen to you as a person of sage advice. And if you can say, I will solve your problem or I will help you solve your problem, they're hooked.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. How do you avoid being, you hear the term hired gun. How do you avoid, taking on that role and being a true expert witness?
Well, I think it's all about objectivity, telling the clients if they're in the wrong, just straight tell them, because you don't want to be called up on the stand or you don't want to stamp a survey that's not 100% accurate. So that's why I do the initial review before they ever come on as the full client, because I've had to tell a lot of people last year they were in the wrong. I mean, a lot of people, and they paid, $2,000 a pop to hear why they're wrong. It takes a big person to listen, to a different opinion. But I think, sitting down with them, explaining why they're right and why they're wrong, and if there's a gray area, where do they sit in that gray area? And then they can decide what to do. Because a lot of people are reasonable. If you say, this is a poor survey you brought me, and here are 10 reasons why, they'll probably listen to you.
Yeah.
And that $2,000, essentially, you're writing it off. Like, okay, I know I'm wrong. Do a lot of people try and pursue it further with you? Like where they say, okay, I know I'm wrong, but I want to sink more money into this? Or do they just write it off?
Every so often.
Make me right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And like,
Isn't
just if
there
I throw money
anything
at
you
this.
can do? Yeah. Exactly. But a lot of times they don't. Like they knew, or they had a feeling in their gut like something was not quite right. And a lot of, I don't work for individuals. I work for attorneys only. So if you're a landowner, you hire an attorney, the attorney hires me. So there's no emotion involved. The attorney's just there doing his job. And if you tell him like the facts and how difficult it'll be in his job to do this, they'll probably not want to do it either. We're in the same boat. We're both professionals.
Yep. We
We don't want loser cases. We don't want loser surveys. So let's be honest with the landowner up front, and maybe they'll do something different.
Yeah, good point. I'm curious, what percentage of surveyors do not have errors and omissions insurance?
Gosh, I have no idea. I'd say probably very few surveyors have it, and this goes back to the mom and pop versus the big business, difference. A lot of mom and pops do not have it. A lot of big businesses do have it. So, in Florida, if you do not have errors and omissions, you have to put that on your survey, on the face of the survey.
Wow.
So everyone knows it.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Errors and omissions, that's just a policy that pays out if something does come up wrong. Like they cover it. Oh,
right.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not cheap.
Really? And it's not like a requirement, obviously, to have it?
Well, I mean, it depends what you're doing. Like if you're doing an ALSA survey, and then you basically have to prove that you have errors and omissions insurance. But, like Tony just said, a lot of these smaller companies don't have it.
Yeah, funny story. A friend of mine in Florida is a surveyor. He does like anything, Alta, Boundary, hydro surveying. He's a cool guy. He's also a diehard barbecue contestant, like he competes. But anyways, he was surveying in a park, and he was surveying like doing like a layout. So he put his total station in the middle of the path where he's surveying, and he put cones around it so people would know not to go near the total station. It's dangerous. A bicyclist ran into the cone and sprained his ankle and then sued him for like millions.
Oh, wow.
what happened? The insurance company paid the bicyclist for hitting the cone.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my
And the bicyclist said, well, the cone's dangerous because it's in the middle of the path. And then the surveyor says, the purpose of an orange cone is to alert you to a potentially dangerous situation.
Wow. That's crazy.
But it was crazy. He's still mad.
How could you possibly, even the sprained ankle, like millions of dollars, like medical bills? What's his case
emotional distress? I mean, who knows what? I mean, you can sue anyone for anything. So,
wow.
You know,
Oh,
I mean,
so much emotional distress in this show.
Are a plaintiff's game because you can sue anyone for anything. There's really no downside. I mean, why not sue them for millions? What's the worst that's going to happen?
So
You
bad.
hear no.
So bad. She was running late today, and there was a little emotional distress there. Maybe I should hire Tony to
You're gonna have to
take
sue
care
me.
of that. Yeah.
Sue me. I made it. I was on
So
time. Come on.
All right, so let's move on here a little bit. So surveyors, licensed or registered professional surveyors, professional land surveyors. There's all different acronyms that are being used, and every state's a little bit different as far as what it takes to become a registered or licensed surveyor. There's this mix of education versus experience. For example, here in Arizona, no post-secondary education required, no continuing education required. One state over in New Mexico, 4-year education, CEUs, the whole deal. Is there a best median for surveyors? Like if you could propose something that would apply to all 50 states, what would that be?
Gosh, I don't think you can do that. There are no facts, there are no journal articles, there are no studies to tell us, like, if you get a bachelor's, are you 25% less likely to become sued for liability than an associate's? There's none of that. That's what's the frustrating thing is. I mean, you have to decide, what you need to practice. I feel like I have to have a PhD and a law degree because sometimes I'm dealing with title issues. Sometimes I'm dealing with boundary issues. We're doing water boundaries. I could be in the Virgin Islands next week and then Oregon the week after. I mean, you have to be able to, a very elastic mind to take in all the different state rules, to apply them, to do a good job. But if you're in, a small town or you're in a big city and you're only doing boundary surveys, do you really need a PhD? No. That'd be a waste of money and a waste of time. It'd be stupid. So, you, Kent, Jake, Ryan have to decide, what do I need in terms of education and experience to practice competently? And that's the only question.
Yeah, no, that's a great answer on that. So we've talked about pretty much everything, or not everything, but most everything that, Nettleman land consultants do. I want to give you an opportunity to talk about Nettleman Institute of Surveying and Engineering Technology. Tell us about that.
So, when I was working at Texas A&M, a couple of years ago, I saw a lot of non-traditional students that really could not join the program because we shut down the online program. The administration thought it was too expensive. The students did not want to move to Corpus Christi because it's not a small town, but it's not like Austin. I mean, I wouldn't trade Corpus Christi for Austin. And a lot of people were left out. They want to get licensed, but it requires a 4-year degree in Texas until recently. Now it's a 2-year. So there's so many working professionals that have no ability to get the education. So they basically get stuck as a survey technician. They have a lot of potential, but they have no money. They have no time. They got kids, a wife. They don't want to move, 500 or 1,000 miles to get a degree. So I started NICET as basically the way for working professionals to get their credit hours to get licensed. We do a certificate right now, which is a 1-year, 32-hour, but we're getting the associates online this year, getting a bachelor's online in 2 years. We're approved to operate as a higher education institution, which is awesome. So it's a baby. We're growing every day. We got like 5 or 6 students. But I think in 5 years, the public universities are going to be terrified because people can get education cheaply when they want to. They can pick their topics. it's about the student. It's not about the university.
Wow, that's awesome. And I've talked to some people here recently that I've come in contact with that have even mentioned or suggested the idea of almost doing like a land surveyor camp, for lack of better word, where, you know, they would literally be at this camp for a week, let's say, and, you know, run through all the different
24/7
field procedures and stuff like that. And
love that.
It's not a bad idea, honestly, you know.
Just a kind of boot camp.
Yeah, almost like a surveyor's boot camp.
Instead of spreading out all that time over the next year, get it all done right at once.
Yeah, for the field side of things, you know. I mean, obviously,
yeah, we do that at NICE. We do a 1 week, you know, 5-day. We go to a camp, we live together, we eat together, everything. But it's funny how everyone thinks they come up with this great idea. We'll rewind 100 years. If you were a surveyor in college 100 years ago, you wouldn't go for a week. You go for 2 or 3 months to live in the woods.
So true.
And then everyone's attention span shortened. Like, let's do it in 1 month. Then let's do it in 2 weeks. Then let's do it in 1 week. Well, could you imagine convincing a college kid to move to the woods for 3 months? And they had to. Every bachelor's student had to go to the woods for an entire summer to get their field work done. And the professor and the dean of the program would live there too. So you would all live in this like camp the entire summer. So talk to your, you know, grandparents, and they'll tell you they did this.
I think if you put me back like 15 years ago, I probably would have done that. No,
summer camp.
No, I got the wife, I got the child. It's a whole bunch of work.
Well, that's why Tony's doing this and creating this program.
No, 15 years ago, I would have done it.
Yeah?
I would have signed up in a heartbeat.
I don't picture you as a camper.
No?
No.
I did that. Oh, that was my whole childhood, fishing and camping.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So much I don't know about you.
Now I'm too prissy.
That sounds like fun, right? Go live in the woods for an entire summer. But yeah, I mean, you gotta do this when you're young. You know, 18, 19, 20. After that, it's not going to work because you got obligations. You know, you got bills to pay, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I couldn't go right now.
And let's make it clear right now, we're not doing a summer camp in Arizona.
No.
Not in Phoenix, anyways.
No.
Maybe in Flagstaff, but
or the Virgin Islands.
Yeah, right. All right, so
I think like Minnesota would be cool, or upstate New York would be a great place. Somewhere cool in the summer, not like
the Adirondacks,
Florida.
baby.
No Orlando.
For sure. Maybe even Calgary. Let's go north of the border.
Ooh,
yeah,
you're talking.
Calgary.
Awesome. So I want to give you a chance to tell folks how they can find out about Nettleman Land Consultants and Nettleman Institute of Surveying and Engineering Technology. Is there one website or is there a couple different websites?
So there's actually, 3, because I'm splitting my businesses. I'm splitting things up. So one day when a vice president wants to take over one segment, or one day when I want to sell something or give it away, it can just go on its own. I'm running my business and I'm trying to get it going so it can run without me. So the expert services as it is at C Nettleman, like Charlie Nettleman.net. The test prep is NLC test prep. And then NICET is landsurveycareer.com. And check out YouTube. We have a lot of YouTube videos. We post a lot of stuff. And a lot of the videos are just discussions. What do you think education should be like? How do you think drones will be used? And I give you my opinion, but what does that matter? I want your opinion. So jump on there and give us your opinion about where things are going. Because thank God, you 3 are young. Y'all have the ability to decide, but we've had too many gray-haired people try to tell the young folk how surveying is going to change. Well, luckily, I can definitely see good stuff coming, but it's up to everyone who is young to decide what's it going to be like. Is it going to be a trade or a profession?
I love that one.
You got to make your choice.
Yep. Then how do you feel about surveying? I mean, we go on about this for hours, I'm sure as well, but do you look at it as a trade or a profession, or do you think it's just a matter of how you approach it individually?
Well, I mean, let me ask you, does a doctor use his hands?
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a friend who's a neurosurgeon, and he can cut like nobody else. Well, you better know what to cut before you start with the scalpel, but you still have to use the scalpel. So personally, I definitely see surveying as a profession because you have to have this higher level of knowledge before you can do anything in the field. And I ask people a lot, what do you think, trade or profession? And I've only had one person ever in a presentation tell me he thought he was a tradesman. One.
Interesting. I mean, I definitely view it as a profession because that's how I've always looked at it, and that's how I approach everything I do. But I can also see how, for example, I'm going to use Arizona as a bad example where there's no post-secondary education required and, no continuing education. We kind of almost in that case fall in the same category as a plumber or an electrician, which of course is viewed as tradespeople. So in that case, I don't say I could be swayed, but I could see that perspective. But other than that, I think it's without question a profession.
But you guys still have that test, and you have to be licensed to be professional. Yeah,
but so do plumbers and electricians.
Arizona's a bad example.
Yeah, I'm just playing devil's advocate. But
let's talk about New Mexico.
And that's great because you've got to have this discussion, and there's no answer. Yeah. It's like it's like being in a philosophy class. You'll never get to the answer. There's no 1 + 1 = 2. It's how many people think it's a trade, how many people think it's a profession, and I guess your own personal opinion or the majority wins.
Yeah, and I mean, I've harped on this a number of times before too. But there's these Facebook pages out there, that surveyors have kind of taken over. And I look at these Facebook pages for content for the show actually, and they're just very so unprofessional, and I'm like, are there Facebook pages like this for doctors where they would whether they would act that way, or lawyers, or even architects and engineers? It's the surveyors that seem to have to, get out there and just, I don't know, show their backside, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I think on Facebook and Reddit as well, they're venting, they're frustrated, they're having a bad day, or they're just frustrated, and they want to talk to other surveyors about their situations. We can all, I've had so many clients or people on the phone, can you survey just one line? Can you find just one monument? And that's my lead generation person takes those calls, so I don't have to listen to him anymore. Yeah. But still, he just rolls his eyes because he's like, who are these people? Like, they have any clue how much work we do? Nope. And it's just frustrating. Now, the other thing is the Facebook and Reddit groups are really all technicians. They're not really professional surveyors on their venting. They're field technicians, ticked off about getting chased by a bunch of snakes or something crazy.
Yeah. That's true. No, you're right. Or I saw one the other day where it was obviously a field guy, and he referred to, the guys in the office as the office pukes. So yeah, I mean,
you're an office puke.
I'm an office puke now. Yeah, I suppose. But all good stuff.
Well, Tony, you're a wisdomous guy. Is that a word, wisdomous?
It is now.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
I'll take it.
We're gonna coin it.
Sounds good to me. But I need you to drop a nugget on us. Do you have a mantra that you live by?
I'd say, a good surveyor is always learning. Like, I think I have a lot of credentials or whatever. Who cares? I'm always learning something different. Always signing up for a new CEU, like in New York. I'm not a New York surveyor, but I saw their virtual conference, signed up for it, watched a video. Pretty interesting stuff. And I think that I'd be embarrassed as to how good a surveyor I am if I looked at myself 5 years ago or 10 years ago. So you've always got to be growing and learning. And if you can get enough tools in your toolbox, you can help anybody. You can go anywhere, help anybody. But you've always got to be adding another screwdriver, another wrench in your toolbox every single day. And it's tiring because you're trying to work and learn at the same time. It's exhausting, but you've always got to be learning.
And that's kind of the definition of being a professional, I would say.
So I would say grow the toolbox.
Yeah, I like it.
There we go.
Grow the toolbox. I like that. Yeah. That could be 2021's mantra. Grow the toolbox. I like it.
Very well said. Appreciate that. So we've pretty much covered everything I was shooting or hoping that we would get through. You got anything shooting?
No.
You got anything over there shoots?
No, I'm good. I'm not shooting for anything right now. I'm good.
PJ, you got any final questions?
No, I thought it was good.
Yeah, fantastic. Tony, is there anything that maybe we haven't touched on that you want to get out there?
I just want to say thank you for doing this. It's great having young people like myself doing these, national syndicated podcasts. Just keep doing it and keep having interesting guests. It makes a big difference.
The only thing I will add is next time we have you on, we'll have to talk a little bit more about seaplanes.
Okay. Hey, if anybody wants to meet me up in Windermere, Florida, and all the lakes, say I'm there.
Might have to take you up on that.
Oh my gosh! Careful what you wish for. You don't want us three hanging around you.
Nobody.
I don't know.
That.
I saw a video of a twin-engine Beech 18, BEECH 18. Look it up on YouTube. It has a seaplane. It's like this big cargo plane on floats.
Jeez.
You can go fly it whenever you want to. You pay a couple $1,000, go up there. You can get a seaplane rating. I emailed that day. I saw it this morning. I emailed guys, said, sign me up. We're going to Minnesota.
Wow, that'd be awesome. Well, we'll definitely keep in touch. And again, thank you so much for giving us your time this evening.
Glad to do it. Thanks for having me.
You bet. So that's a wrap, boys. As I say, clearly another awesome value-adding show. Please be sure to check us out at thegeoholics.com. Follow us on all reputable social media outlets by searching for The Geoholics. Of course, download all of our podcasts from most everywhere. Don't forget to download the Geoholics app from Land Surveyors United and subscribe to our YouTube channel and Tony's YouTube channel. Send us an email at info@thegeoholics.com if you have any content ideas or would like to be a guest on a future show. We're always looking for fresh and relevant ideas, so believe me, we will read and answer your email. Finally, please support our awesome friends of the program every chance you get. Be sure to mention that you're a Geoholic for the VIP treatment. Pay it forward. Add value, make friends. Carolina Blue. Glory Bound Train. Also available everywhere. Most importantly, be safe and healthy, everyone.
I'm gonna ride that glory bound train. I've got my ticket ready. It came from Calvary. The day they nailed him to the cross.
Once again, thank you to our friends of the program, Aerotech Mapping, Inc. at atmlv.com, Advanced Geodetic Surveys, Inc. at agsgps.com, Bad Elf GPS at bad-elf.com, Cobb Fenley at cobbfenley.com, Cyanic Automation at cyanicautomation.com, Diamondback Land Surveying at diamondbacklandsurveying.com, Get Kids Into Survey at getkidsintosurvey.com. Land Surveyors United at landsurveyorsunited.com. Mentoring Mondays at mentoringmondays.xyz. Monson Engineering at monsonengineering.com. Parkland Community College at parkland.edu/landsurveying. Safety Apparel at safetyapparel.us. Tiger Supplies at tigersupplies.com.